easy, Carl.
Oh gosh, that's really, yeah. I leave here and have to be basically 30 minutes from the outer bank for 8 o'clock in the morning.
We're at
30 minutes from the outer bank.
it.
Yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Doing well.
We have one more class, are you super excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, Isaac's ready for summer, can you tell? He's like the student I teach every day, like, how many more days do we have till school's out? How much longer do I have to spend time with you? Do y'all have any questions from last week? We learned a lot, last week was full of information. Lots of information, and I know that Josh has to follow up, because you know, he thinks of things as we're eating dinner on Saturday. Oh, by the way, you tell a couple things when you're down there. One thing he wanted me to make sure I mentioned to you was, for those of you who intend to use social media as a promoting tool, and I'll be honest with you, social media is an incredibly powerful tool in promotion, at promoting yourself right now. He asked that you be very mindful of how your posts are shared to get your maximum life out of them. For example, if I have liked which I did, by the way, liked your Facebook page last week, and I like your Facebook page, and I share your post, and Gary Barker shares your post, he sees mine and shares yours within 5 minutes, then you don't get as much life out of it. So it's important if you're trying to help somebody get their business going, even as a consumer or a business person, to be aware that when you share a post and it shows up in your feed, like such and such shared this post 5 minutes ago, don't share it again. Take some time, because then when you share it an hour from now, 2 hours from now, it gets a new boost. So you need to make, right, so you know, sometimes you'll see a post that says such and such shared this, such and such shared this, all at one time, and really just going through the same group of people's feed at one turn, instead of saying, these guys are this awesome woodworking this week at 2 o'clock, and then 2 hours later, do this awesome woodworking week at 2 o'clock. And so it just helps you to maximize those shares. So tell your friends and family that, as a consumer, also be aware. All right, I'm also supposed to tell you that next week is the big deal. It's exciting. It's like your end of course test. You ready for your pitch night? I know Kathy sent you an email about pitch night. She also sent you one about business plans. So she said to see if you had any questions that I can help you with, or see where you were in those. If you had any things we need to clarify or get ready before next week. If you think of something, you can email me or her. And we are very lucky to have some wonderfully knowledgeable people about finance. Because I know that, just beginning my own business with real estate, my first thought is, oh gosh, if I plan to pursue a structure, if I wanted to buy a building, how am I going to get money to buy a building? How am I going to get money to get this thing started? And that's a big concern for most people. Most people don't have the luxury of having, a bunch of capital in hand. We have to seek it from other sources, whether it be a traditional lender, or whether it be from people incorporated, or grants, different things, government grants, all those different things. So these lovely people are going to talk to us about that. We have Melissa Coffey from First Bank and Trust. And we have Jeremy Greenfeld from People Incorporated. And Maribel, I'm sorry, I don't remember the last name. It's okay. Feliciano. I love her name. Thank you. And they're from People Incorporated. They're going to talk to us about some paths for financing. And once they finish, we'll take a break and eat, and then Carl's going to talk to us about some other very important that matters from the Small Business Administration aspect that he's got.
Okay.
Did you know that? That's what Kathy told me, at least. I hope you're watching, Kathy. All right, so Melissa's going to take over if you have any questions.
So if we're looking at putting together a deal that would have an SBA guarantee on it, we have to have a sufficient credit quality that the bank would underwrite the loan. SBA steps in to assist with the collateral aspect or some of the risk aspect. Maybe we're looking at purely projections on what that you're doing, or maybe you don't have enough collateral for us to hold because you're needing operating funds. You're needing funds to get started and buy materials, things that a bank won't typically be able to hold. So that's when the SBA will step in and kind of take over, but that's not in lieu of someone having adequate credit to be able to support the loan anyway, or have an adequate history where we as a bank can sit there and say, okay, you know, they have a good plan, they've got good personal history, they seem responsible with their finances, you know, this is what we have to work with, we think it's really good, and then, you know, SBA step in, and I think you'll even offer some guaranteed loans also, don't you? Okay, I haven't worked with one of their guaranteed loans, I usually just send people directly to them, but, you know, that's something where that, again, we develop those relationships to try to best meet the needs. My theory on being a community banker is it's better for me to send you to who can help you the best and hopefully keep the deposit relationship, so as you grow as a business, you remember the kind gesture where we sent you where they took really good care of you, and that you'll keep those deposits with us or continue a loan relationship with us when that, you know, it would be better suited or we can more adequately get you to fit into our policies and underwriting. But do y'all have any questions?
You know, what might help is if they tell you what they're thinking of doing.
Well, that's it. I know that you guys do woodworking,
Yeah.
because I saw your stuff at the brewery. That table is beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate
Very
it.
pretty.
The railroad tie table?
Yeah, the bricks in it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Very, very pretty.
Thank you, I appreciate that very much.
So, no, I knew what you guys were doing. What are you doing, Gary?
Co-working space.
You're the one with the co-working space. See, when I saw Sarah here, I thought it was her. Because the real estate agent being her, I thought, oh, she's done the billing, that would be perfect for that.
Well, we have found a bill that would perfect for that.
So,
Not to
no,
put you
that
on the
was-
spot.
I figured you were the co-working space. So Gary's the co-working space. What are you doing, sir?
Soap.
Soap?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like live soap or?
Soap, bath products, lotion, shampoo, conditioner.
Oh, okay. Is it the really deep scented stuff or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. I've bought that stuff before. And what about you guys?
Outfitter store offering guide services for fishing and kayaking.
Oh, okay. Would you all be the guides or do you have people?
I've got some people, I would do some, but I've got some others too, that has experience with it.
That's fun. I've heard a lot of people talk about that, you know, that was something they were interested in because they just don't know where to go once they get here.
Yeah, there's nobody really offering it around here, they hit up the local spots on the river, local fishing holes. So
Would you all do the fly fishing type stuff or?
we could, but not right now, that's a little more in detail, it's gonna be more just, whatever the clinch offers, and generally you're not gonna fly fish.
No, that'd be some of the tributaries and a little stony in that area, so. Well, that sounds fun. With guide services, would you have the outfitters with clothes and shoes and backpacks?
A minimal amount, yes, because obviously don't need a large outfitter store in this area, so, we would have the supplies for, you know, somebody comes in and decides, hey, I'd like to do that.
Oh,
I didn't bring anything, you know, offer them some products.
Similar maybe to Pathfinders out in Norton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
They keep me up on my analogy problems.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Something like that.
well, that's fun. That would be neat. Well, I think you all have good ideas. Have they had somebody come in and talk to you about the other banking services that may be relative and meet your needs as a starting business? Okay, that may be one of the good areas that I can talk to you about. We offer free checking, free savings, there's no minimum balance and no transactions limits, but we also offer free business checking. So if you were starting your business, you could open up a business checking account with us with a minimum deposit of $250. Once the account is opened, you can use that account, the balances can drop to wherever you need them to. You're starting a business, you need all the cash flow you can get. So you can drop those balances, as long as you don't go to a negative balance, you'll never be assessed a fee on it. So it's not one where you have to keep and maintain a minimum balance. We also offer merchant services, that would be your debit cards, or your swiping machines, We also offer the online shopping cart apps with off.net that would allow you, if you had a website where that you were selling goods or services, people would be able to place whatever it is into the shopping cart and check out just like what you would with any online merchant. But we have those services in-house. We work with Elmhurst, which is our third-party card processor. But what makes us different than some of the other agencies that offer merchant services is we offer ours in-house. So we have our CSRs, we have e-commerce representatives that come out, actually get you set up. But if you have a problem with the service or your machine or anything like that, and the help desk really just isn't helping you, you can contact one of our offices and we would be able to come out and troubleshoot with you, get it back up and running, and, get things flowing. But, because we offer that as more of a service to our customers, we don't have a huge markup on it, the way that some of the other agencies do. It's offered with us as more of a supplement to products and services that you may already have. So it may be a cheaper option for you than doing like the Square. I think they charge 2.75% on every single transaction that you run through. Depending on the number of transactions that you have, that may be perfect for you. We have a similar product to the Square, it's called Clover Go, that will attach to your mobile device. The little machine is, I think, $50 to $75, and it will allow you to swipe, it will allow you to do everything like that. It's PCI compliant, it accepts the chip. It has a $6 per month charge with it, but then it has our regular interchange rates. I think a debit card is going to be 0.85%, and then it goes up from there, but I don't think anything, even on a corporate rewards card, is over 3%. So it's something that may offset the transactions depending on your clientele, depending on the dollar amount of the transactions. Something as small as that may be a huge money saver for you and allow you to keep more of the money for the goods and products that you're selling. So those things are out there, and we can work with you to figure out what products may best fit your needs, whether it's Clover Go because you're doing guide services and you may not always be in a stationary location, whether it is a regular terminal because you're always going to be at your shop when people are checking out, whether it's the shared space and you need somebody to go in and just type in a credit card number to pay the rent, or you want to build in and have it paid monthly. We have the services that can do that, and we can work with you to identify those and figure out what those services are. And, most of the time it's at a minimum charge. So, again, our checking is free. Any business that's a startup business, you should be able to find and locate free checking. I know most of the local banks around here offer it, even for commercial accounts and business accounts. It's just whether or not they have the other products and services that would meet your needs is something for you to consider. Or whether they offer the loan products and services that you may need in the future. So. Any other questions, or have you all got accounts set up for all that? I don't know if any of y'all are operating. I know I've seen your all's work, but have you gotten out there and started selling or went to craft shows or anything like that?
Everything we've done has been, just basically custom order stuff for stuff is,
Oh, okay.
that's been how it is so far. But that's definitely something that's gonna happen in the near future, like this summer. Be doing a lot of traveling, delivering, and a lot of stuff like that. Especially once we open up our market to a lot broader audience online, things like that. Josh Sawyers was here last week. We talked about working with him some to develop a bigger online presence besides just through Facebook, which is a great tool. We get a lot of customers through Facebook, but also, a lot of other ways of advertising your product online. But yeah, that's happening in short order. So.
Well, that's neat. Some of the merchant services may be perfect for you guys then, simply because it would open up for you to do direct online sales. Maybe it's not a purely custom piece, but
No,
somebody wants a handmade, chair or a handmade bench or, some features like that. You may be able to post it on there. While each one would of course be different, they would have an idea about what they were purchasing, the price.
And we can also have stuff for individual pieces that we build to store in inventory. and always advertise those, so they can have pictures to look at those, and they can buy them directly online there, and them shipped to their place, or we can deliver and install, whatever it might be.
If you all don't mind me asking, have any of you all figured out what your operating needs are now or how you're going to meet those? Whether it's through a line of credit or, I guess with the outfitters, you can sometimes develop the relationships with the or with the providers or some of the companies that you would be having within your store. They may offer a line of credit or offer things on consignment to begin with and give you a 90-day invoice, I guess, on it to get your inventory sold before you have to pay in. But has anybody considered how to meet the financial obligations of getting started up? Or got to that point in your business plan yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Now, how would the time frame differ? Now, most people are accustomed when they go through a lending process for it to be a vehicle or a home. These are primarily new entrepreneurs. So as far as the time frame involvement, for startup capital or for a location, if they needed to get a loan, what would be involved?
It depends on the type of loan that you're working with, whether we go SBA, which SBA has significantly increased their turnaround now, where that they're Johnny on the spot for some of their services that they're offering. So that's really neat from the banking perspective. Used to be, people would tell you SBA and you kind of cringe because it wasn't necessarily a streamlined process. From everything that I've seen and experienced recently, they're offering some great products that are tremendously streamlined. If you were just coming to the bank though and interested in a $10,000 operating line of credit to get things off the ground, if you had your personal tax returns, which we would look at originally so that we could pull your credit, if you have some business income or have a history of what your recent sales have been, if you've gotten started and may just not have a fixed location yet, but you're looking at expanding your business, we would need to see your current numbers, see where that you were at as far as your expenses versus your income on it. A general balance sheet and profit and loss statement would get you a long way before heading having that. Once we have those items, generally we can have a 3 or 4 day turnaround, depending on how large your request is or, how put together your numbers are for us to work with. It makes it a lot quicker process, and being a little bit familiar with what that you're hoping to achieve when you come and speak to the bank. I've had people who come in and I swear I think they wake up in the morning and they decided, I'm going to open a business. I had a young girl come to me and she wanted to open a vape shop. That was her dream. She wanted to open a vape shop. She found a lady who had a vape shop who was willing to sell her the vape shop. And it was going to cost maybe $10,000. She was going to have to rent her location, and the $10,000 was supposed to cover the merchandise that was already there. Well, I asked her, I was like, well, what merchandise is located there? What is your current inventory? How long do you expect that to last? She had no idea. She didn't know what was there. She didn't know how much that actually cost. She didn't know what the monthly rent was on the storefront. And she worked another job, so she was going to have an employee to come in and operate this. And she didn't know how much that everything cost, what her profit margin would be. Don't do that if you go to a bank. If you go anywhere, don't be that girl. Just don't do that. But, that's something where I really sat there and I was kind of in shock that, she would just be locked in that way and not have any clue, but know that that was her calling in life, was to own a vape shop. So, do your research, and that will help us to be able to help you and have a quicker turnaround with all of it. If you've done the research and you know what your profit margins are going to be, if you know that you're going to be able to turn around and that off of the inventory and merchandise you sell in the store, you're going to have an average profit margin of about 40%. That's great. We can do some estimates on that, on what you project your sales to be. If you know that your overhead for doing guide work is just going to be your time, or if you're paying somebody else to do the guide work for you, you know how much that's gonna cost, and you know how much you can make on it. If you have those numbers laid out along with what that you're expecting to do each month, makes it so much easier, and so much easier to turn around. Plus, if you already have your financials put together in an organized fashion, it makes it a lot easier.
So you don't have to have shoeboxes full of documents and receipts, is that what we're trying to say?
Yeah, I'm not just.
Okay, that, okay.
I
I'm just
can,
asking for a friend.
yeah, no, I can work with you to try to put some of that together, but generally your completed tax returns or a profit and loss statement that anybody can put together on QuickBooks, or I know there's free apps online where that you can put that in. Just having that put together makes you seem so much more put together, so it just gives us that confidence leading off. It helps. But yeah. What time is it? How am I doing?
I don't carry a watch. I talk too much to carry a watch.
It's 6:25 here.
Oh, okay, so I'm within my 30
You're
minutes.
within your 30 minutes.
Do you guys have any questions for me? Because I can talk and carry on all day. I hear you giggling, Mother.
I am. Great job.
Thank you.
Any questions for Melissa? All right, well, next, we're gonna hear from Jeremy here from People Incorporated.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to sit up here with you. Guys, I'm gonna leave a couple of brochures over here for you. If you have any questions, give me a call, or if you think of anything after this, I'll be happy to schedule and meet with you. I live here in Castlewood, so I don't care a bit on my way to work or back home from work to stop and meet with you, and don't care to meet at your location or respective location. If you have any extra questions, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with
If
everything.
y'all give you a hard time, tell me to call me.
That's it.
I'll keep you straight.
God love you. That's all I have to say, is bless his little heart.
So, my name is Jeremy Repass. I'm with People Incorporated. We're based out of Atlanta, Virginia. Maribel, and I have to apologize, Feliciano. Yeah, this is her first day with People Incorporated. She'll actually be the business development manager for up in Manassas. So she agreed to tag along with me today just to kind of shadow and see what's going on. To give you a little insight on People Incorporated, we do everything from housing to winterization, child daycare services, all the way up to the Economic Development Department, which is the department I work in. And as she was stating earlier, I like to look at my job as I want anybody that I work with, I want to earn a lifelong friend, somebody that I could just meet with and conversate with and so forth. But my goal is not to have you as a long-term client, by no means. My ultimate goal, number one, is to get your business, help you get your business up and running from a financial perspective, okay? To be that assistance for those folks who, for whatever reason, do not qualify by bank standards. We don't compete with the banks, we're actually partners with the banks. Our goal is to get you to that banking status. Whatever issues that may have arisen that didn't qualify you for bank financing, my ultimate goal is to find a way to get a loan done that makes sense. We have a philosophy that it's not what we do for you, or not what we do to you, but as much as we do for you. Some loans that make sense to an individual that's looking for money may put them in a tougher situation than what they were to begin with. So that's our ultimate goal, is to look out for those type of situations while supplying you with the financial means for your business. So what we do is we try to work with businesses to get them open, and like I said, ultimately get you in a financial position to where you can get money at lower rates from banks. Right now with People Incorporated, our rate is 7.5%. And while at the same token, some people, when I mention that, and they've checked into banking, they'll find that the majority of the time the banking may be a little bit better choice when it comes to rate-wise. However, the qualification process, like she was talking about cash flow and things, might not quite be what the bank needs in order to get you approved. When we sit down with you and we look over these things, again, we're trying to get you into a banking situation. So our ultimate goal is to find mitigating factors to help out in order to get the loan approved. For example, if someone has had credit issues in the past, some blemishes and so forth, we try to mitigate that with collateral aspects. You may be putting your home up for a loan, but if you don't meet the banking criteria for a credit report, there's just nothing they can do. Operating costs, we do loans for things as far as working capital, equipment purchasing, consolidation of debt. We can, if it'll put you in a better cash flow for your business to consolidate some of that high credit card debt that you might have to use, or line of credit debt. We can do that, purchase inventory, like you all were talking, I'm sure with the bath soaps and so forth, there's things you have to buy in order to make that. Woodworking the same way, there's things you have to do there. And real estate purchase. We have some programs where I can purchase real estate with, and help you get, from a rent standpoint to a purchasing standpoint. We do loans, they can be as small as $2,000 and we can go as high as $250,000. A wide variety there of what we can do as far as financing. Terms, we can do as high as 10 years. I think we're looking into going 15 years on some things. If it's real estate secured, we can go as high as 10 years with real estate secured. SBA funds, we are limited to 6 years at $50,000. And the thing that I like about SBA funds, or funds that are provided to us by the SBA in order to lend out to small businesses, is that from an SBA loan isn't designed to primarily open your doors and that be the only funding source for you to take off with. The thing I like about SBA funds is if a bank looks at a loan and says, we can finance the building, we can buy your equipment, we just can't help you get inventory. We can't do that because it's not secured in the fashion that we need it to. I'm able to assist the bank with the SBA funds that I have, whether it be $10,000, $5,000, $50,000, whatever you need for inventory. I'm able to assist the bank with an additional loan that would supply you with that inventory that you need, or the things outside of real estate that I can purchase with SBA. So with People Incorporated, the sky's the limit as far as what we can finance for someone, but the ultimate goal is to get you in a banking status. That's our ultimate goal. And I've kind of went all over the place with this. My job, I love talking about my job because there's so many ins and outs of what we do. Like she was saying, with the banks, they want to sustain that depository accounts with you all. Have you a local place where you can, open up your checking, open up your savings, things of that nature, get your card services through. And nothing is worse than going into any place, regardless of the business, and being told, I'm sorry, no, I can't do this, and having that door shut on you. Especially as a business, when you've devoted so much time and your own money into getting something going, and just having a complete hurdle that just seems you can't cross. The banks reach out to us to try to step in, to try to help them out, and try to help you folks out with your businesses. So, any type of questions or anything?
Sure, you want to tell them the loan process, how
Sure.
you have to work through it?
Yeah, the loan process, ours takes a little bit longer than the bank. Our loan process, what I do is you bring your information to me, which would be the application that we have, and I have some of those with you today if any of you folks would like them just to take and look at them to get an idea, or if it's something that you think you might want to move forward with. You bring the application to me, a business plan, the narrative part of your business plan. And in theory, with our business plans that I look at, what you want to do is, this would be your opportunity to sit down with someone in writing and tell them what your business does, what products you sell, what services you offer, where you're located, those type of things. And then the second part, as I like to call it to a business plan, is your financials. This is your cash flow statements and things of that nature. Usually what we look for is about 2 years cash flow statements, okay, projections. If you're an existing business, we look to try to get 2 years tax returns so that we can kind of base numbers off of actuals rather than projections. But you'll bring these documents to me. We sit down. you and I, or over the phone or in person, we sit down and have a conversation and interview and get a real good feel. We build a real good relationship between me and you and your business. I'll then compile a credit application folder for your business. I take this folder and present it to either one or two committees. One committee is an internal committee that's strictly made up of People Incorporated employees that are located there at our office in Haddon. That is for loans for $30,000 or less. Regardless of what the purpose of those loans for, it's just the amount that matters, $30,000 or less. They would make a deciding decision on whether or not to approve or decline the loan. If it's greater than $30,000, it goes through that same process. However, the internal committee that we just spoke of only makes a decision on whether or not to move it on to an external committee. Okay? The external committee is composed of folks that do not work for People Incorporated. John Rock, that I was speaking, I forget her name, what was her name? Melissa. That I was speaking with Melissa about. He is, I guess, kind of a district manager for the local First Bank and Trust. He is on that committee. So it's a panel made up, or a committee made up of bankers, tourism-related folks, everyday just folks that own other businesses. We've got all walks of life, so to speak, so that we can get a full perspective on loans. And they make a decision at that point in time whether or not they want to approve it. So to get through those processes takes a little bit longer than your traditional bank financing. However, the reason we do that is so that we can do your business a lot of justice by being able to look over the things that you know, we try to find ways to do the loan for you all. And it takes a lot of people and a lot of time to sit down and go through everything, you know, with a fine-tooth comb to make sure it makes sense. That's the process of applying for a loan with us. That turnaround time, typically you're looking at anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks. 6 weeks being the two committees that it has to go through, the 2 weeks being the internal committee. And that's from the time I hand you the application to the time we get a decision. The only reason the external committee takes a little bit longer is because where these folks do not work for People Incorporated, they're all volunteering their time to be on this committee. So it's kind of hard, as Rob, our CEO, likes to call it, rounding the cats, to get them to come together for a meeting. So what we try to do is have a meeting at least once a month. So depending upon how that's timed, it may be a little bit of time before the next meeting. So you can anticipate somewhere between 2 to 6 weeks. Did I explain that well, Sandy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? I know I spoke with Gary and Isaac here. We've talked a little bit about the process and everything. I think you and I are friends on Facebook now. So, yeah. And I've looked at some of y'all's work.
We're gonna be talking.
Beautiful, wonderful. Come on by. Be happy to help you out. And you were talking about how you make bath soaps. There's a gentleman that was in Washington County. I forget where exactly he's from. But he had started into the goat milk business, and it had gotten to the point that he was getting more milk than he anticipated. And him and his wife were sitting around and saying, okay, what do we do with all this milk? And she come up with the bright idea to do goat milk bath soap, lotions, and things of that nature. So there's definitely a market there for that. He does exceptionally well. So, and the outfitting, I mean, with the trails and everything that's coming in around here in the Clinch River, shamefully enough, I haven't done that much research on the Clinch River. I'm from over in Smith County, but I haven't done that much research on the Clinch River. But what I have, I found that there's a lot of resources and things that are in the Clinch River that you don't find anywhere throughout the United States. So, yeah. So, I mean, you know, and there's a lot of businesses opening up around here that are in, you know, the rafting services and things of that nature, but unlike what you guys are doing, there's nobody that will really, the out-of-towners, they come and they see those things, but there's nobody that can take them on fishing excursions and things of that nature, so really, really interesting group.
That's, by the way, back to the soap, that is Bates Farm, B-A-T-E-S Farms. They're actually in Lee County, I think in Jonesville, in that area. And,
I have several of their products, actually.
and just somebody that you might want to call and just get some input would be, I'm sure he would be
Oh,
happy
yeah.
to. Joe,
Excellent.
Joe's a great guy.
Yeah.
I'll be happy if you want me to give you his information. I'm happy.
He's went as far, at the Washington County Business Challenge, he and I was talking, because he's kind of, I've known him, or I've been introduced to him because he brings bath soaps and stuff into People Inc., and some of the ladies there purchase them and so forth, and the lotions. And when I was talking with him at the Washington County Business Challenge, he was explaining that some of the goats that he has, they've had baby goats, end up having baby goats, and he's like, okay, now what do I do with baby goats? Because you can't milk them, I guess, until a certain age. I don't go for them, so I'm not sure. But he says, so what do I do with these baby goats? And surprisingly, I think, and Sandy, help me if I'm wrong, but there's a gentleman down in Pigeon Forge or somewhere that has a petting zoo. And he takes these baby goats down, and this guy basically pays to feed them, keep them on the farm there where they can be petted once they get at a certain age, where they can be used for the milk and so forth, brings them back. So this guy gets boarding for his baby goats for free. He's paying. So I was like, hey, you're working on a monopoly here is what you're doing. But it just surprises me in this area. I've been with People Incorporated now for 2 years, and it just surprises me at the entrepreneurship that is in this area. It's just unreal. And most people would look at that from a standpoint of, well, that increases competition, but there's just so much opportunity in Southwest Virginia, all over Virginia, honestly. It blows my mind. And that's what makes me excited about what I do more than anything, is seeing people, helping people find ways to expand on their dream or either start their dream. I mean, it's just, it really means a lot to me. I was explaining to Maribel that one of the benefits of my job come about, or seeing the real benefit of my job come about 5 to 6 months, I guess, into my job. There was a young lady that was doing, her and her father was doing small lawn service, just, $20 here, kind of like a high school kid would do their kind of thing. They were doing it on the side. And in the mix of all this, their landlord said, I own this property, and this property, and I really like y'all's work. Would y'all be interested in doing all the landscaping and yard work for my properties? So it was at that time that they realized that we're going to have to, LLC this to protect ourselves and make a business out of it, file a return on it, the whole, 9 yards. But they needed better mowers. They needed commercial mowers. You can't do it with just anything. They needed weed eaters. They needed working capital for things, until they got their invoices paid and things of that nature. So they come to us, and when it really sunk into me the impact that what I do has on the community and businesses around here, was when I went to hang up with the phone with the young lady after telling her that the loan was approved. She didn't hang up the phone. She thought she did. And hearing her get emotional and hollering at her dad saying, we got the loan, knowing that they didn't think they would get it, because they had tried to go into a bank and God love their heart, they just didn't have the credit. And, but seeing the difference that I made and seeing her reaction for a $2,500 loan blew my mind. And, so when I talk to them about, because our key thing that we do is follow up. Our accomplishments are how well you're doing after the fact. Getting the loan is just the beginning part of it. It's making sure that everybody make the right decision to get you to be successful, And when I followed up with her a couple months later, she was just so happy. Things were going so good. The mowers were in great shape. They were able to do what they needed to do. And that's just a feeling that for an individual that just does something for me. So I'll do everything I can to help you get up and going. If you're not interested in getting a loan and you have questions about business plans, financials, or anything like that, please reach out to us. We'll find, if we don't have the answers, we'll get somebody who can. We're there for you. We are your tax money at work. So put us to work.
The other thing to point out something, and this was said the night when I talked, that your deals may come from different areas to get the total package. And that's something you got to realize as you're going through this, thinking about it, the lender's going to help, and it's going to do the deal it feels comfortable with, and it's going to do the deal. And it's going to kind of walk away. And it will, as long as you use their services and that, you got a relationship. When you get behind, that's when you'll see them, okay? With people, they're really interested, because as I said, they're kind of the short term, is they want to see you leave. And they know that they have to put extra time into you to come out, nurture, ask the questions, because just like tonight, he's asking questions. None of you are asking anything back, and I know there are things there, but you're not asking. And that was the same thing when I was here last time. And the thing is that those are missed opportunities. But as they develop the relationship with you and they're coming out, then you start opening up more. Then they're able to assist a lot more, and they offer continuous training programs and things like that that you can attend and to help improve yourself in that. So as these things are brought up, there's a reason why the different entities serve an important function, and also understanding your dollar amount, okay? Dollar amounts really become important, because if they're too low, God bless the lenders, they're not going to touch it, because they still got to do a lot of paperwork. And it's the same paperwork they got to do for $1 million loan as they do for a $10,000. So understand that, and if you have that long relationship, the more out to do it. If you don't have really a relationship, it's not going to happen. That's their function. That's where they kind of step in and to assist with it. And the thing is that even if they can't help, you know, what are my options after that? Once again, it comes down to what's your dollar? Because, okay, I can crowdfund outfit, I can crowdfund stove, I can crowdfund wood. Yours I have to work at, but it can be done depending on the dollar amount and what you're trying to get out of it. Because you each have a product you can offer in return.
Sure.
So, and even if they sit there and say, you know, I really love to do this, but, you know, it just doesn't look good. Okay, we can do a small scale crowdfund, get money, and then use that as leverage to go in and get the deal. So it's looking at how to work these combinations to get your product up to the ultimate end goal. So at the end of the day, let's say when you do your pitch and you compete and there's only one winner, okay? So in my book, you're all winners, because now we have a foundation. And if you're serious about wanting to close the deal, there's a way to close the deal. And that's why I always tell people, I don't care about the winner. I want to know the people that did win, because those are the ones that have viability. It's just how do we guide them to get there. And that's the thing that you got to remember when you walk away from this, is don't look at it, well, they didn't find my deal interesting. No, it's just about how things are presented, people's who are judging their experiences and what they relate to, because it is subjective. Take my word for it. Done enough of these judging, and I hear people with the decisions they make, I'm going to say, well, shouldn't we just be focusing on the business, you know, not because you don't like it, you know, because you don't like those type products, you know, that's subjective. That's not the purpose here. So understand that, and I think sincerely, and I think every one of us said, each one of your products are definitely viable in the region. So no matter what comes out, it is something that can happen if you're really serious about making it happen. The resources here, and they do a great job. Take my word for it. Melissa does a great job in what she does. But they're all niched in their own particular way. But at the end of the day, nobody says, I just can't help you. There are still options. The agreement, they talk about goats, that's bartering. You know, I promise you, he was watching the goats and doing it, pet farming that, he's getting something out of it, feeding that. He's also bringing goat cheese and soaps and everything else. So, I mean, there's things going on. It's bartering, you know. Okay, I started my first business by bartering. Okay, so it's all doable. It's how you negotiate. Working with the outfitters, you know, the bigger companies, they will do the deals because they know what happens long term. So it's just how you negotiate it. But you can get those on terms where you don't pay a dime and you pay it at the end of the season. That's all doable. The thing is, if you understand how to go in and talk and present what you're trying to accomplish, you can close a lot of deals that you don't necessarily have to go to a bank right off the bat or another type of lending institution. The state has their programs. the thing is, there's so many places that we can touch. And that's why I always tell people, don't get discouraged. There's just a lot of places we can touch. It's just how we get there depends on what you're really asking for. The hardest thing is line of credit, correct? Line of credit is the hardest thing. So understand that, and if you can get a $10,000 line of credit out of the starting blocks, you're actually doing really good. So that is going to be your toughest. Everything else, pretty much, the people are willing to work with. As soon as you say line of credit, it's kind of like hands off. You know, it's the hardest thing to build a track record. So just realize that that's not a reflection of you, it's just the nature of the business and how people approach it. So if you need that, and that's where he brought up, and I thought it was an excellent point, where he said the lending institution is willing to buy the land, buy the equipment and everything, but they don't want the inventory. That's where they can come in and basically provide the line of credit, close deal. Okay, I got 2 entities playing. Okay, yeah, it's 2 different payments I'm gonna have to make, but at the end of the day, you got what you want. And that's the thing you gotta remember. And then the other thing they talked about, and this is another key component to realize, he talked about 10 years, okay? That's 10 years, you're not gonna get that from a bank. Okay, it's 3 years. So, big difference on how your payment is starting out. Now, you have to kind of negotiate with them how you don't get a penalty for paying an offer, that type of deal.
We got that covered. None of our loans have prepayment penalties.
I'm waiting for you to do it.
Yeah, that's good, we're good. And it's all simple interest too, so, but, you know, what he's talking about with simple interest is that your interest accumulates daily on the principal balance of that day. So if you want to come in, you know, like if we run a loan, and I'll be honest with you, depending upon the business, my recommendation, unless it increases, I mean.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
When you're looking at financing, most people, I mean, you take a car for an example. Nowadays, you can go 7, I've seen them go 8 years on cars. It's just because cars are getting so expensive that people just can't afford a payment of a 5-year term anymore. And what happens, you know, in some places when you're negotiating at the car lot or wherever, they'll sit down and say, well, if you go 5 years, we'll do this interest rate. But if you go 8 years, we're going to bump it up 2%. In finance, if a term does not change the interest rate, if it does not increase, sometimes it makes sense to go that longer term as long as there's no prepayment penalties, as long as it's simple interest. Because when times get tough, especially if you're a seasonal business, in the winter months when you have low revenue coming in, you know, you're booming during the summertime, but during the winter months you get that low revenue. It's a peace of mind knowing that you've got the lowest payment that you could possibly get. But in those summer months when you're really busy, or those months that you have a whole lot of sales with wood or what have you, you know, you can increase those payments and double up. If you could, you know, if your payments will be $500 and you could afford $1,000, fine, pay the $1,000 payment that month. Because with the simple interest, anything that you pay in addition to your regular payment is going to interest, and it pays that loan off. So, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, this is just trying to educate the group of how you have to look at this as you're putting it together. And the other thing is, have you even started working on your finances yet? Silence is not good. Just so you know that. Silence is not good.
There's a tricky aspect of this thing for us because our financing, our startup finances that we need are almost zero. The product is, all of our products are pretty much made from materials that are sourced by us that are not purchased. To some degree, they might be purchased if we decide to buy a barn full of lumber off somebody that's having a barn torn down, things like that. We're already in our building. We're getting a great deal on the building. Right, all that we need startup-wise really is some money for some materials to renovate the inside of our building, the actual storefront, because part of the building is going to be storefront, part of the building is going to be workshop and shared, you know, workspace with some other artisans, and probably some tools, some more upscale, like you're talking about with the people that were doing landscaping, for them to work with higher quality mowers and things like that.
Can't do what y'all did with a Black & Decker grill.
No, right.
It just don't work.
Yeah, right. Replace our Porter cable sanders with Festool stuff, and, you know, there's some little things like that, but, other than that, that's why I've been so silent, because I'm normally pretty vocal in these things, is that whenever we're talking about financing, we're kind of out of the loop because we don't really require any startup costs. We just need some, we need a way to beautify our building to draw in customers to see people, local craftspeople's wares. That's our main objective, really, because our
and tools.
yeah, sure, that's
The supplies that are required.
but as far as
Finishing products.
Yeah,
That kind
but
of-
see, just what you brought up, okay, you're downplaying what you need,
right,
okay? But in reality, you already told me tools, so there's a cost there.
sure,
Okay, all right. People and a lender will be interested because that's something they can basically sell in the secondary market they have.
Yeah.
Okay, as soon as you say, I gotta do some drywall and do some renovations inside my building net, nobody's interested in that because there's nothing back.
right.
Okay, so when you downplay that and say, well, it's not a whole lot now, it does create an impact because now you've actually made the loan harder. Okay, and so we need to understand that, even though the dollars may be low,
Right.
everything's right. And then all of a sudden, he expounded and talking about stuff for line of credit. I need accessory things to sit here and put the equipment together and that, get my finished product and all that. So all of a sudden, it's starting to expand. So as you tell me it's simple, it's going this way. And that's why I tell people, you really have to look at your numbers very seriously and count everything. Because if you don't, and you immediately just kind of just say, well, it's only a small amount, I said, you don't understand the trickle effect. And you only get the loan one time. And if you undercharge and you get the loan and you're short, nobody's coming to help you after that. Am I correct on that? You're hung out to dry. And that's when businesses go out of business. Because they didn't do the right up front. And that's why I stress to everyone, do not be afraid to say what your number is. Because what too many people start doing is start to take shortcuts. Well, it's a little high, I think we need to come down. You know, I don't know if we're gonna have revenue. Guess what, guys? If it doesn't cash flow, you're not gonna get it no matter what. And if you gotta shrink it down to get cash flow, you shouldn't be going into business. And that's the way you have to look at this.
Business to me is a whole lot, I mean, if you stop and look at it, it's your life outside of your life. And what I mean by that is when you think about opening up your business, everything around that business revolves exactly like the things under the roof of your home do. You've got light bills, you've got expenses, you've got utilities, you've got food, you've got things that you have to have in order to survive underneath the roof of that home. Your business is the exact same way. And what Carl is speaking to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that let's say that you suddenly become unemployed, okay? And you know what it costs you to live, your necessities to live, not your wants, but your necessities, your light bill to keep the lights on, keep food on your table, pay that mortgage, pay that car payment that's going to get you back and forth on that job. If you underestimate and say, well, you know, I got this choice between these two jobs, but I'll take this one. It pays a little less, but it seems a little bit more enticing. Seems a little bit easier to get, for lack of better words. And you take that lesser job, you have actually put yourself in a situation that you're going to be able to take care of a few things, but ultimately, you're going to lose that car. You're going to lose that home because the job that you picked did not support the needs that it took. And I think that's what Carl's trying to get with looking at it from a loan perspective. Look at what you really going to need to get done and then some. I mean, it's kind of like a contractor's job. They'll add 15 to 25% on top of a job for things that they didn't see forthcoming. Make sure that you go into this knowing what you need and then some. Because so many businesses go under because they're like, you know what, I did not think about that.
And think about when you're opening your doors, okay? You know, an outfitter opens their doors in December. Do you think they're going to survive very long? No. Okay, they got to open basically when the season's hot. That's when they generate their lifeline and everything else, just like yours. These are all things you have to think about when you're trying to do that. And if you're trying to get funding, you know, you're thinking, well, it's going to happen this quickly. All of a sudden, you're getting delayed. It's delaying your opportunity. there's a ripple effect. And that's what a lot of businesses do not take into account. You know, like yours, if I was going to say, I'm opening, let's just say at Prep Memorial Day concept, I want everything done in that. Okay, basically, it would have been in January I was doing the steel, putting it all together, because that's gonna guarantee me I'm ready. But this is what we talk about, and if it's not, then that puts even more pressure on, okay, how do I have to think? If I'm in this competition, and basically in 3 weeks, it's right after Memorial Day, the season starts kicking off, and I gotta be ready, what is my strategy so that way I get what I need, but it carries me, but I can still finish the rest of my projects maybe after that season, so I can do that. This is how we have to think right now, and that's why this becomes critical. Like, I don't know what your timeline is for your building, when you're trying to open it, or anything like that. And then, you know, his is even more of a delicate situation, because I gotta get clients in. You know, so his is like, he's almost gotta literally have contracts lined out before anybody of interest is gonna even put money to him.
Yeah.
And so this is what we talk about, depending on where you're at in this whole thing. Yes, his can be a year-round business, understanding how to play it and that. But this is what we talk about when we look at this whole thing, and we tell you, look at your numbers. What we really want you to do is say, guys, this is your only opportunity that you're really going to get the chance to actually lay everything out, say, this is what I want, so we can see the true number. And at that point, you have your dream castle, as I call it, and you can go forward. And if somebody sits here and says, yep, your cash flows, everything looks great, fantastic, then you run with it. If they come back and say no, then at that point you look at it and say, okay, how low can I go before it's not even worth it? And that's what we do. But that's when we start looking at the different options, and that's when we start looking at different agencies. Like, you talked about your equipment, okay? As soon as you're bringing equipment, or he's doing the renovation of the building, as soon as you're bringing, doesn't matter what you're buying, it's already reaching energy efficiency, better than what was currently there. So you're already gaining a benefit from tax purposes and everything else. So we're already trying to figure out how you can get your money back on what you're purchasing. So then that way we're taking advantage of potential tax credits and everything else. So this is what we talk about, how we think differently to help the bottom line, so you actually start paying things back ahead of time.
Sure.
And that's why this becomes really important, to really lay those numbers out. And when I gave you SCORE.org's website, I said, throw the numbers in there, see what it looks like. You know, put your different scenarios up there. That way you have 3, 4 different scenarios. You're able to kind of really now be very objective about what you truly need. And this is what I truly would love to have. And then this is, I can definitely make it with this. And I can get those other improvements done in the future after I get past this level. That's what this is all about. And that's why it's really critical for you to not be afraid to, right now, people ask me time, ask questions. When you leave, you've got questions, please be calling, emailing these people. They are more than happy to try to help you. Because at the end of the day, we want to see all 4 of you open your businesses. Well, I don't care who the winner is. I just want to see all 4 of you open your business and get an invitation to grand opening. That's all that is to me. You know? And so, and that way I can spend my money and say, I was doing it for a good cause. And so, this is the way you look at this, okay? And I cannot stress that enough, that as you move forward, because you only have a short time frame, and because the numbers really haven't been worked, and you've got pretty much only next week, that's not a good situation. And that's what I'm saying, this becomes very mission critical. You really playing with those numbers and seeing what you truly have, because that's going to make or break you in the pitch. That's going to make or break you in your business plan. I'm going to tell you that right up front. I don't care what you put in your business plan and everything. At the end of the day, the people typically are judging, and she's one of the judges, and those people have finance backgrounds. I already know how they judge things. It's the numbers. People like me who look at marketing, but you know, at the end of the day, who the judges are, that's who's going to determine how you look from the window. So that's why it's really important to try to get those numbers right, because that's where a lot of these groups spend their time, to look at the numbers. And that's why I stress this, focus on that.
All right, why don't we take about a 10, 15-minute break and get something to eat, and we'll come back and talk more numbers with the car. And then we're gonna talk about pitch numbers in a minute. Sure. While he's getting a drink across from the back.
How you liking your new job?
You all need to be aware of a couple of things. First of all, Kathy gave you guys a flyer last week about the gentleman coming down with the storefront presentation. She asked me to remind you about that. And I think so, yes. And, she asked me to make sure you're practicing your pitches. And so Sam's gonna talk to us a little bit about pitch night and what's involved in that.
Everything gotta be under.
That's kind of a scary thought for most of us, is how to do that. Just be yourself, there we go. I was thinking, right?
Not here.
No.
I don't trust it.
No.
I know how many my own house is, but I don't know about this place.
Cindy, do you wanna?
Sure.
Something else?
I just wanted to take a minute, because we've been together for the last 5 weeks, and the first night, I left this, but I want to leave it again. Virginia Community Capital, for those that may not know, we are a community development, we're going to have to pull those folks up there. We're a community development financial institution, and we help communities like St. Paul and others to take dilapidated buildings and try to make something of value of it, and help communities thrive by investing and putting money into it. One of the things we were lucky to have was able to get a grant to actually develop a new loan fund called the New Economy Loan Fund, and it's just for the Coalfield area. So as you're developing that building, you may be looking for financing. We don't do anything under $50,000. We go between $50,000 and $5 million. So we can put some deals together. Especially with your projects, you might be looking for something as you grow. So I'm going to leave you some information. One of the things, too, we can go up to 20 years for your building. For other loans, it may be, up to 10 years. But again, we want to try to put some capital out there to help you. That's our mission, is to help you to grow and expand and help Southwest Virginia. And I've been in economic development for probably 27, going up 28 years. And so I hope you'll consider me also as a resource too. As Carl mentioned, he loves marketing. That's one of my favorite things. It's part of my job with Virginia Community Capital is to sit down with you to help you if you want to do some strategic planning, if you need help working on your business plan, or if you just want to sit down and talk to somebody and share some ideas and what do you think, or you're looking for some resources and you don't know if they're available. There's an advantage for being in economic development in the state for as long as you know people and you know where some of the things are hidden, so consider me a resource. Now, I know that there's some questions about the business pitches. I've done a number of these business challenges. What are some of your questions that you may have? Be prepared.
Yeah.
Don't go up here and read it off. That does not look good. Know your product, know your business inside and out, because the goal or the objective of these pitch judges is to ask you some of those tough questions to see how fast. And part of doing that in a business challenge is to have to get you prepared so that when you do go talking to a lender, you're going to be able to answer those questions quickly. And it could be, a quick summary. What are you going to be doing? How are you going to market that business? Or how much money are you going to have? How do you see you growing that business to pay service that debt? But, you've got 8 minutes, I think, on this one. You've got to do it. So I would suggest if you can offer some pitch, do some trials with some of your friends, do it and time yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to get up there, and when you get that 1 minute warning, you're going to get flabbergasted, and you're not going to be, you want to get this said before, and you'll forget one of the most important parts of it. And I think you're allowed to use AV equipment if you want to show examples, or if you want to bring stuff in, you're welcome to. If you want to use PowerPoint, you're welcome to do that. I'm a visual type person. You can tell me over and over what you're doing, but if I can see it, that helps a whole lot. Any questions? Speak now, for your piece. And by the way, remember I told you you could go to the YouTube to the Washington County Business Challenge and see some from the last 3 years, at least 2 years, business pitches, and that should help you too to get an idea of how they handle it. And there's probably outfitters on there that you can get too. And Carl and I was talking during the break. I think as a startup business, one of the most important things you can do is find folks that are in the same business you can talk to. As I mentioned, Joe Bates, I would see if I could get his ear for 30 to 45 minutes, have me a list of questions, and ask him, because he can share more stories of what he's tried that it worked, or that he's got his hands smacked and butt whooped, and that you're not going to do the same thing. Same way with outfitters and so on. So I would suggest that. And Gary, I have been involved in incubators, business incubators, for a while now. I'm on the Virginia Business Incubation Board. I'm only saying that is because I've worked with, the collab space up in Roanoke. I don't know if you've ever visited there.
What's the name of it? The one around we actually had an office in there for a little while. Our company did.
Yeah, and then they moved to kind of the, I just went totally away. Just totally went right. Brandon area.
Yeah.
But I know what we're talking about. So, if you need contact with them, just kind of see how they structure some of their leases and rates, or you want to talk to other incubators, even though they're mostly publicly owned, you still, some of the same stuff, how you structure leases might be helpful. You got a question?
What did you say was the best thing for us to actually search on YouTube to find that? Should we just
You go to
search
Washington County Business Challenge.
Washington County Business Challenge.
Yeah.
So there is I think in your initial paperwork, you were given both a rubric for your business plan and some guidelines for your pitch too.
Yeah,
So to make, honestly, a big part of it's following the rules.
Sure.
Follow those rules. They're there for a purpose. Be prepared. I think Sandy already addressed that. When someone's going to ask you a question, you really, have a very minimal amount of time to answer that question before they move on in their thought processes.
I tell you, you all are in, Carl alluded to this, probably one of the best locations in Virginia, because there's a lot of capital, there's a lot of programs to help you versus others. Take advantage of that, but the best thing you can do before you go is get prepared. That business plan is going to help you get prepared, but there's agencies out there to help you, and I used to work for the state. I was until just about 2 months ago. So if you're wanting to learn, like, for example, you want to sell, you want to lease space to the state of Virginia, how you get on Virginia's electronic procurement system to sell, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. Even looking for a database of businesses that you want to sell to. There's a free database there. It's just a matter of how you extract that data. I'll be happy to help you. You've got my contact information, so I'm usually close by. And it's been great to be here for the last 5 weeks, and look forward to hearing the pitches next week. So, but really, get prepared. You're in a great position. And now it's down to 4 of you, so it's not like the competition is that heavy. So, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And Carl is on his way. Does anybody need a card? Get my card? You still got it? Okay, good.
Okay, guys, let's try to pull this all together.
Not crying.
Now, we really haven't gotten to our numbers yet, from what I can gather. Okay. Number 2, once we know, what should have happened tonight, if I asked, I should have been able to ask you, and should have been able to say, this is what I estimate what I need. That's where we should have been at tonight. Because at that point, then we could have started connecting dots. But because we don't have that, that kind of puts us behind the Powerball. Okay? Because that's really critical, because that kind of tells us whether we go the lender route, whether we go people, whether we go crowdfunding, whether we go combination, whether we go to state, whether we go to BCC. That really becomes relevant in this, because you're hearing a lot of different ideas, and you're, quote unquote, tell me if I'm wrong or not, you're already overwhelmed because you're trying to keep it all straight with everything that's been thrown at you. The thing is that's why this becomes important, because when we know that information, then it's getting you channeled the right way, so you don't waste the energy trying to figure out where do I go. And that's why it was really important to kind of know, estimate what your number was, because then it kind of drives us, and then it lets you talk to the right players and to get accomplished what you need with it. And if it's a combination crowdfunding, okay, that's a separate topic afterwards that we can actually do, because I've done about almost 50 campaigns in crowdfunding. And the thing is that it's a science, but it's doable if it fits kind of who you are with the whole thing. And that's what we look at, dealing with it. But the thing here is, when you were working on your numbers, has anybody looked at to see where you actually end up at being zero? So this is what it cost me to run the place, and this is what I gotta make, I'm at zero. Have we done that yet?
Yeah,
Okay, and what was your number that you had to do?
it's very low.
Okay,
Our
so,
overhead is almost zero. I mean, we're paying, and again, since we're not purchasing and reselling anything at all, so our number is, we're paying, how much, what's our monthly rent?
Our utilities and our rent on our building and stuff is very,
That's
very.
basically it.
Right.
That's basically it.
I mean,
okay.
Mind
you was talking about, we were talking
Okay,
earlier.
well, let's just say it's $250. Okay, just using it as the number. Okay, at that point, that's what it is today. And just when you listed everything in that brief 2-minute talk,
What is it?
I already know what your numbers are running to.
Right.
Okay, so that's going to change.
Sure.
Okay, but it's doable. Okay, so that I can put in my head and figure it out. But the thing is, what I'm worried about is your slow loans. Okay, and that's what we got to really pay attention to.
Right.
So that way you sustain yourself through the slow loans. Okay. The same thing with yours. Your break even's going to be low just because of what you need and things like that. But once again, because you're a seasonal, we kind of really have to determine that season. And then the number 2 thing we have to determine is if we get hit with drought, how are you going to survive? Okay, so we got to have that contingency in place to think that out. So that way we have that buffer in our numbers, so it protects us. And that's where a lot of outfitter companies do not take that into account when they hit a drought, and then all of a sudden you can't canoe just because it's just too flat. You know, it's just not enough flow, so you can't go. And that really, a lot of people don't think about it, because, oh, they're really great. I said, guys, by the end of the summer, it may not be. And last year was bad. Okay, so that's the thing we have to think about. And so that's part of that number crunching, is taking those factors into account when you come into this. You know, you say everything's really great, but I promise you, if every weekend rains, you're impacted.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, the people just don't come. Okay, once again, that's that factor you got to take into account. Okay, you have the aspirations of a space that you're going to create, and you're going to want people to come to it, and you're going to offer all these services and things, but literally, you're laying that seed now, so people are already going to commit. So we already know what they're, and you have to sit here and kind of have, and I figure you already kind of have the building lined out, kind of what the estimated cost is, because at the end of the day, I gotta figure out how much they're gonna pay, because they're gonna cover it.
That's right.
And if I'm only, let's just say, my target is to have 40% capacity when I open my doors, this is what I have to look like, and this is what I have to generate, and this is my time frame to be at 60% capacity. That's what people are looking for. They want to see how you're going to scale, because we know you're not going to be 100% capacity. And you are fantastic, kudos to you, but we know reality. And so we have to figure that out. So does it become a phase build out?
I think so.
And so if it is, then we have to design it that way. And that's why these numbers become critical. I want the numbers to show 100% build out. And then I want to see what it is as a phase build out, because then it tells me how I have to look.
Right.
And that really becomes important. So that's something you have to kind of put together, because you're also going to have a higher cost. Okay, people already know of you word of mouth, so they kind of know you in that. So you have customers in that. People are going to know you, especially once they catch wind that you're doing fishing trips. You're going to grow very fast. That's going to get out very quickly on social media. Not a lot of dollars in marketing that. He's going to have a big marketing budget, because he's got to get people in. Once his reputation, then he can drop his marketing dollars. He's got to take that into account as part of his cost. Okay? And that's why I always try to stress with you, you got to understand where your dollar's going to go. And typically the one area everybody forgets is marketing. But because of social media, it really lowers the cost. But for somebody, what he's trying to do, he's got to up his cost, because he's got to get up around the noise. You know, he says it's here at St. Paul, and everybody's going to say, where's St. Paul? And what's in St. Paul? And he said, do you even have a food place in St. Paul? Do you even have a gas station? You know, that's what he has to overcome as chatter. And so he has to develop a whole marketing campaign to really get people to really see St. Paul. And that's why his is going to be, that's a big cost center for him initially to get his customer base. But he has to take that into account. So he has to trade off. You with the soaps and everything else? Okay, as you talk about whether it's the farmers markets and things like that, you can only scale so far. And you're going to have to go to the what we call the most lucrative markets, and then you're going to go to different shows that you're going to go to showcase your product line. The question is which shows do I go to? Okay, I'm hoping you're figuring that into your costs, is which ones, because for me, lots of times when the artisans, like with your product line, I ask them what shows you're going to, because the shows they tell me, I pretty much get a good idea of what they're going to get revenue-wise for the time they're there. And it will tell me if they're really right on target, or if they're just listening to the chat, or people say, oh, you should go here. And they haven't really done their homework. You know, and that really becomes critical for your future success. Because, you know, your critical piece is, as soon as you do the show, people are going to say, can you ship me some product? You know, that's what they care about, because if they like your product, it's, I want to make sure I can keep getting it. If you can't do that, then it's dead. Well, you have to understand your shipping costs. So you have to understand your shipping costs across the domestic market, and if you're going to go international, you've got to kind of understand that. That's a cost center you have to calculate into your numbers. If you haven't calculated in numbers, which a lot of companies don't do, they go under, because they are shocked how much logistics costs. It is huge. And you really have to, once again, you have to take into account, right now gas prices are low. If gas prices shoot up, you're going to get the penalty fees and that. How are you going to carry that over to your customer base? And so everything becomes that triple effect with it. And that's what we talk about. That's what you have to look at. That's part of that numbers calculation we keep talking about. It's not just the pure stuff you think about. utilities, my salary, all that. It's unexpected. A drought hits. How am I gonna make my payments if I can't run my thing? What some other things can I do contingency-wise to keep generating revenue? That's what we're looking at in this whole thing. If we don't have that, then you basically have made the fatal mistake that you didn't think of everything. You thought of everything being perfect. In business, it's not perfect. I've been burnt enough times to know that business is not perfect. Okay? And I cannot stress that enough. When you're doing your best, you better be looking behind, because it's going to hit you. And then all of a sudden you're scrambling.
And Carl, there's things that you can't control, like, I know Adventure Mendota got impacted last year when we had the drought. There was not enough water in the clinch there for them to do their tours, so they lost revenue there. I mean, who would have ever thought
And
that?
remember, it's not just the revenue you lose for that time. You eventually lose that group never coming again. That's how important. And guess what you have to do for that? What's that do to your marketing for next year? You have to spend more. And if you haven't figured that into your cost, you've lost money. This is what we keep trying to talk about in all this, is that you got to think of the rainy day fund, as I call it, the bad news. So how do I take care of that? So that way I am still protected. You know, you use certain ingredients that are very unique potentially, correct? Okay, and you're very dependent on a certain supplier, right? Yes. What happens if that supplier hiccups?
Backs everything up.
Okay, backs everything. But look at your trickle effect, what it does to your customer base. You got to figure that into your contingency. If you're held hostage by one supplier, guess what? You're asking for the kiss of death. It will happen. I've taken over companies that were basically dedicated to one customer and everything else. One supplier supplied me one particular unique product, and if I lived with that, and if they wanted to jack the price up, I was held hostage and I had to eat it. If they wanted to sit there and just say, you know, we're really tight right now, we just don't have anything to give you, I'm scrambling trying to figure out how to change my formulas to still give the customers, but yet I haven't had time to test it. Okay? Those are really important things. All right? You're going to have a huge R&D cost, and you better take advantage of it for your tax credits. Okay? If you haven't figured that into your cost that you're doing R&D, then you've already lost a lot of money. All right? You are going to have R&D costs as you try to figure out how to use that historical materials in different ways and try and co-blend new materials into it. That's R&D costs. Okay? Make sure you take advantage of that because that helps your bottom line. Everything we're trying to do in this whole thing, that's what it comes into. Just like as you try different products, whether it's different types of fishing gear, whatever, that's R&D. If you're not taking advantage of that stuff, you're losing money. As you sit here and experiment with different marketing schemes, that's R&D. Guys, you've got to really take advantage of everything that's put in front of you and use it to the max. If you throw it off to the side, you're throwing money away. And I cannot stress that enough. If you've got things that, doesn't matter what any of you buy new, it's energy efficient, you've already met a definition of a lot of things, so take advantage of it. You know, if they're offering things because of preserving the environment, you better be taking advantage of it. Okay, of what you're doing. This is what we talked about in this whole thing. And if you're buying, if you're using the scheme Made in America, take advantage of it. Okay? And if you're going to use that scheme that all your products are from within the United States, you better be ready to go global because people gobble it up globally. Because they love Made in America.
And Gary, have you thought too how you can leverage your new facility to take advantage of some of the new cybersecurity training programs that UVA is going to offer, that maybe someone that's interested in that to subcontract, that you might, you know, is your building, are you going to have it to where either have redundant fiber or, you know, redundant power, and how that could be an advantage, that you're having to niche over any other of your clients or any other places to take advantage of some of those opportunities?
I hadn't thought about it, not really the redundancy kind of deal, which maybe I do need to think about.
Well, I mean, why would I want to go to your place versus someplace else? And to me, if I was into, you know, doing computer networking or doing that kind of work, I want to make sure if there's a storm comes and the power goes off, I have some way to continue working. Same way with if somebody's busting fiber, because I'm getting paid. I have clients that depend on me to
And
get.
the other thing is, and you gotta kind of watch, you know, that term, because if you get companies that are basically doing, top secret work for the government, then you gotta have systems in place in your facility for them to actually be able to do that type of work.
Yeah.
So everything's card unique and everything else, so you've got a lot of dynamics. And that's what I'm saying, that's what you've got to understand, identity of what am I going to be. So like, you know, we talk about cyber. Cyber, remember, it's a talking point, and yes, we hear from UVA wise, but is it truly a program yet? And are we having people knocking our doors down to come here because of cyber? Okay, it's understanding the market. Okay, but they do have a 4-year degree in software engineering, and it's the only one ABAT approved compared public school in the state of Virginia. So they have that. Okay, and if you can convince them to focus on the rural health care program that they have and get these two to work together, that's the customer you want. Because that's tying to rural health care and you're tying software. That creates a market for you, and that creates a place to go to, because now you're creating common breeding ground for something that basically is a growth market. And basically, guess what the subset of that is going to be cyber, because you have to protect people's records and everything.
Right.
But if you go in and just talk cyber, everybody has a vision of cyber, and you're going to get pigeonholed very quickly.
And you could
have
probably
no
charge
identity.
more rent for rent than a normal space, because you've got all this stuff in place. I mean, it's just trying to, as Carl keeps saying, is finding your niche, and that's the way anybody's successful is, how do you stand out in the crowd versus anybody else? And you need to think about that.
And all I'm pointing out is, if you haven't thought of these things, and like I said, it's called the stuff that can happen. If you haven't thought of that stuff, then you're gonna sit here. You know, what happens, and this is starting to happen in the market, where basically, you know, people are giving you old wood products because they no longer want it, and that. Some people may say, yeah, you can tear it down and, you know, you just pay this amount to get it. People are starting to understand it's becoming a market. So the price is gonna go up. Okay,
Sure.
you gotta put that into your calculation. Even though somebody may not ask it, you have to put that number in there. So you already have it accounted for. So when it does start happening, you've already protected yourself. That helps you figure your costing much better. These are all the little things you have to think about when you're in the business that people forget about. And then all of a sudden it comes, and then they're wondering why they're not making any money. These are all the little things that derail you. And like I said, unique product, you better have the substitute. You know, as I always say, go with the philosophy 75-25. You get 75% of your business to one, 25% to the other. So if there's a hiccup, you got somebody else to go to. And that's how you look at this stuff. Now, with all that said, the other thing that you have to do is, because except for the CoSpace, The rest of you, who's your customer? You know, what's the radius that they're coming from? Because once I understand that, then I know kind of what you're gonna spend in marketing and all that. You know, there's a certain percentage that's local, there's a certain percentage that's basically within a 50-mile area. There's a percentage that totally comes outside the region. There's a percentage that's basically gonna order online, domestically. You will make the decision whether you'll go international or not, that's your call. But the fact is, those costs have to be figured so I know percentage, because I need to track those. Because it'll tell me if I'm doing things right. And if all of a sudden I actually flip and I'm finding that everybody's buying my product online versus the shows I'm doing and things like that, you may sit here and say, you know, it's not worth my time anymore. I might as well just put my investment in this side and just do certain target specific events just so people see me visibly. You know, so and you only go do those events as an expert. That's all they're seeing you for. Not to really generate revenue from the event. It's just really to see you as the expert. And you're driving it to your side. This is how we look at things. Just the same thing with yours. It's to go out and be the expert. It's not to sell product. You want to educate, get them to really think about things, what to look for and everything if they're buying these type of products, and then come to you. Because they see you as the expert. Every time they see you as the expert, they come into it. Just like you talk about the fishing and things like that. There's unique challenges fishing on the river and things like that. And because you have a biodiverse river, that should be one of your key selling points. But how you present that determines whether customers are going to come or not. And that's what we talk about in all this. So as I put those things together, those are all cost adders that I know you haven't calculated. And these are all the numbers that are going to basically skew you to think, this is all I need. And he'll be your friend, she'll be your friend. I'll just sit there and say, ooh, it's going to hurt. You know, so I cannot stress that enough as you go forward with this. But the other thing I want to stress to you, and please understand this, everybody that's pretty much talked to you is there after this is all over. And if you don't pick up the phone or text them or email and say, hey, can we talk? Then shame on you. And I cannot stress that enough. You better take advantage of it, because that's the only time you're going to really get something where actually it's not going to cost you anything. Because from this day forward, it's going to cost you something. And that's the whole thing. So, any other questions? Silence means delete.
Carl, you were talking about, you know, really advertising and getting out there and those type things. And here lately, I pay real close attention. One of my biggest business mentors was, and y'all gonna laugh, was Walt Disney. I mean, if you ever have time to sit down and read about this man, it'll blow your mind. He was completely business intelligent. I mean, just unreal. And the attention and detail that he put into building what is now the Disney company is just phenomenal. But here lately, I find myself driving around and just paying real close attention to those advertising details and things that people are doing to build what is already established business, like McDonald's and so forth. And the most recent key factor in marketing that I've seen in the most intelligent marketing strategy I've ever seen was with Dunkin' Donuts. Everybody knows they make donuts, but they have a coffee cup on their sign. Because when you think Dunkin' Donuts, I mean, you would think coffee and donuts, but you never thought about gourmet coffees and stuff. And they went and put a gourmet coffee cup on there. And it was just because they wanted to advertise that they too are professionals in the coffee world. But nobody paid attention because it's called Dunkin' Donuts. And they went and put a coffee cup on their sign. And now when you ride by there and you see Dunkin' Donuts sign, you see coffee and you're thinking, oh, I mean, I want a donut, but I want coffee. And that to me was just pure marketing. Whoever come up with that deserves a raise, because they really come up with a neat concept right there.
And that's what we talk about. But this is, you know, the thing. You're going to rebrand yourself several times. But But each of you have unique challenges of the marketing because of who your target audience is. And that's the thing I keep trying to bring up when you tell me numbers. These are all the things I ask, and I say, okay, what's your cost allocated for that? You know, because if I can't get a number, then I know you haven't thought, and if you're guessing, then I know where we're gonna go. Because that tells me there's other holes in other places.
So, is there a certain guy for like contingency? Like, if you talk to me about construction, I can talk contingency with you. And I've played with numbers.
Yeah.
I've played with quite a few numbers, to be honest with you. So I'm somewhere around 3K a month, somewhere in that ballpark. Depending on what the building up and all that different stuff that we could guess at. But, so do you float every month with, you know, your bottom line? And make it or break it, you know, I go out of business today if I don't have this. You float, say, a 10% contingency or 20%, is that too high? Or
Minimum is 25.
25? So just across the board, 25? Okay.
Minimum. Especially yours because you're trying to get people in.
Right, right.
Yours is a higher cost because the longer you don't get people, you believe.
Yeah.
I mean, they have options of offering discounts so they believe, but they don't believe it's bad.
Don't believe it's bad, right.
Yeah.
The problem here is that, you know, you get a building that can allow you to expand, you know, you start getting into, it gets pretty scary.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, that's why I was asking if you were building a scale model. Because if you're building a scale model, then there's good opportunity.
Yeah, which is what's on my mind.
Yeah, because if you're going for a total outright build up, you know, that's putting a lot of pressure on it. Where if you're scaling, you can basically build a smoothly, build a reputation, build the theme, successes, and that it becomes very easy to start marketing.
Yeah.
But you're doing a full build out, man, that's a lot of dollars you're having to put out to get people to come. And every month it's not full or 80% capacity, you're just, you know.
Is it a
You
multi?
have it outfitted with all the soaps and everything. That's right, you know.
Is it gonna be a multi-story, or is it a,
My situation's a little unique, and I really can't get into a lot of that right
Okay.
here. But there's two different options, one of them is multi-story. So we'll see how that plays out.
the only reason I bring that up is if you do one phase at a time, when you start that second phase, if my office abuts up to that side, and I'm trying to do my work, or have conference calls and so forth with all the noise, how you gonna, well, you have to do the work at night, that kind of.
Fortunately for me, we deal with that a lot, so noise won't be a problem. And the construction phasing of it, that'd be my bread and butter there. The actual running the business and getting the business going is where I have a problem, not with the, I mean, we outfit $20 million schools with students in them, and, you know, we do building upfits all the time, and noise is a problem for all of us.
Do like a lot of hotel expansions? You do much of
We don't
those?
mess with a lot of hotels.
Really?
Hotels are kind of like a traveling gypsy van that goes around.
Gotcha.
And you can't compete with those guys, nor do we care to compete with them, to be honest with you.
Right.
But, anyway.
Yeah, but it's understanding the identity of, you know, if this was like our lady from Manassas, I would say go ahead and do the build out.
Right, yeah.
Here, I would tell you be phased. And that would be my highest recommendation.
Yeah.
Just because that creates survivability.
We see that a lot around here too with campgrounds and so forth, you know, where the trails have come in here. Some of the local campgrounds and stuff, that's kind of what they've done. They've kind of went in it 3 different phases. We've got campgrounds over in Tazewell County that's doing the same thing. You know, he built one cabin and he's kind of going from there and seeing how well that does, and then he's building on here and building on there, and it's all based upon what number one, what he can afford, but you know, what is it going to pay for itself and that kind of thing. So I don't think it's uncommon for this area for most of those businesses to go in phases like that.
I recommend that.
Yeah.
And really we want to pull in a smaller shop, maybe a coffee shop or something like that to work toward it with us. And there's a couple options to play with this one particular building that would work out well. Then you've got somebody that's a tenant per se that's coming in and bringing funding in. what can help you.
Yeah, but with that, and that's why this all becomes really important, because that tenant is really gonna be dependent on your base that's coming in to actually be ordering products from that. So if you're dry, they eventually dry. And so that's why this becomes really important, that strategy, even though they were a tenant, you have to also say, you know, I gotta make sure this tenant is a long-term survival, so it actually benefits my tenants that are gonna be coming in.
Right.
So it's this ripple effect that you gotta really take into account when you do that. And those are things you're thinking about. And that's why I said, you know, when I asked you the first night, what kind of space is, if we identify an area that focus and not make it too general, yes, general people can come into it, but the fact is, if we understand that, then it becomes easy where to go after in a market and bring those enticements in, because then we know what we're trying to accomplish, you know. And yes, I would focus on what UVA WISE has as its identified strengths, because that's areas to get interns and things like that, so it's a supply line.
Right.
I'm not talking to community college, I'm talking to four-year school, because that's what your environment's gonna want. So that's my supply line. So if I have that relationship, then that creates opportunities.
I think I'm gearing up to people like Sarah's Augers, small business people that need a place to collaborate with whoever the clients are or whatever, not necessarily, you know, filling the house up with college students or, you know, anything like that. I think that, you know, if there was 10 Sarah's Augers sitting in here, we'd be up in the building right now. That's kind of what I'm hearing. You know, there's a lot of, a lot of them come through this area right here. There's a lot of little small business people that are outliers out here that need a space to meet with their clients. You know, that,
Yeah, and I agree with that. And see, that's one of the areas you could focus on. If you do your market research on the gig economy, okay, basically those that work from home,
right.
and basically they only need space on a rare occasion. If you know how to connect to that group, that's a good market.
Yeah.
And that's actually what a lot of communities are trying to figure out how to identify right now. How to tap that market, because figure roughly a third of our economy is that.
I'm
So figure
one, I have a
third of
home
our
office.
economy is that. And a lot of people don't even realize it. So as we're spending money for brick and mortar places and everything else, you got a third sitting, doing their thing at home, in the car, whatever, on the river, they get the signal. And so at the end of the day, if you get a signal, let me know, because I'll be there. But that's the whole thing you're looking at. But if you do your homework with that group, okay, you can go two routes then. You can go after that gig group, which is basically taking space for periods of time.
Right.
That's a different cost structure. And then you go to this other group, and this group is really focusing, okay, what's UVA WISE got that I can pull students as a marketing tool to entice businesses to come here because they got this pipeline and they can find talent. Now you've created two options for yourself.
Right.
Which gives you viability.
I've got a mixture of tenants, so he's not put all his eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Anything else? Like I said, don't be afraid to tap the resources in the next week or so.
I'll tell you, like I told Maribel, my employer's People Incorporated, but I work for small business, period. Without small businesses, I'll be having to find a business to open up myself because I won't have a job, so.
I work for the federal government, we only work from 10 to 2.
I want to ask a question or make a statement maybe, I'm not sure. In a lot of the meetings that I've been in, people remind us regularly that college students come with zero money in their pocket. So how is a college student going to be able to pay for a space?
It's not paying for the space.
So they're just filtering through being the,
No, what we're doing is,
I didn't get that part.
one of the things is, a lot of small businesses are struggling because they're not quite big enough yet and they need help.
yeah.
Okay, but they can't really offer employment, but they need certain projects done. to get their matrix and everything else. Internships are the pipeline. Projects, they don't pay, they get college credit, I get the talent, I get my numbers, I get my results, and I can use them. And then that creates that thing, because businesses are very enticed when they know that a facility has a relationship with the university and can get them interns easily. Because that's the hardest group to get interns from, is through your college system. Everyone is different. If you have that connection and create that pipeline, it opens a lot of doors, and a lot of people are very interested because they're looking for young talent. And if they get the young talent and see it work, and potentially say, you know, I'm going to hire this person as soon as they graduate, it's creating what you wanted to accomplish. And so it creates that. And yes, you will get that rare college student that is just one of those and will come out and do that. But it's really to create the pipeline of that you're tapping into the resources that are the strengths of that university, and that's the type of companies you're marketing to actually come here because you have that relationship. If you don't have that relationship, then you have no value.
We use the United Way for that exact same reason. Our VITA program, which was our tax program for this area, we were having trouble getting volunteers in order to prepare taxes. And Andrea, that works at our office, Andrea Smith, she reached out to the United Way, and luckily they had a good connection with the King College and some of those people, Virginia Highlands and Emory, and some of their accounting students, their professors, made it a part of that curriculum to volunteer and intern so many hours to come and prepare tax returns for people. And we used, if it had not been for us having the connection to United Way and them having that connection to the colleges, we'd have probably missed that opportunity and been hurting.
And that's what I'm talking about. You got to take advantage of your resources around you, and you use that, because that's part of your marketing scheme, and that's what gets people interested in you. Right now, you know, you say I'm St. Paul, and that's it, and then we have UVA Wise. Great. What's your relationship? Then in the story.
Right.
You know, because if you can give me talent at a very low cost, I'm your friend. And like I said, the gig economy would love it, because then that's easy for them to tap.
So much to think about it.
I have a question to ask someone, I don't know who to ask.
Throw it out there.
It kind of involves logistics with some of our products. Of course, there's going to be some things whenever we have an online storefront set up that are going to be easily shippable. Cutting boards, things like that, smaller things that don't weigh a whole lot. There's also going to be tons of stuff that when we have a lot, when we begin to build our inventory, someone buys a product that we've advertised on our website, and it's not a cutting board, it's a dining room table. That's going to be deliverable by us, but it's not going to be shippable. Some of the stuff that's in the middle, I don't know, I've never looked into it. I know it's something that I need to look into. Shipping costs on things that per weight, I don't know anything about.
Well, remember, your killer is, okay, and understand this, if you're having a carrier take it, okay, the easiest way for you to actually get a grasp of the numbers, okay, and this is just really easy, it'll kind of give you so you know how to start building it. Go talk to FedEx or UPS. Okay, they will sit there and actually map it out, say, look, this is what we're looking for, this weight, rough estimate, weight, and all that. They will give you a plan. Now you're able to use that as your negotiating tool with other things. Remember, if you're not doing free truckloads, you're paying premium dollar because it's LTL. Okay? So if you're paying LTL, it's always going to premium. And the thing is, you've got to figure out how to catch the shipments so they're going in the direction that benefits them, that truck carrier. So if that truck carrier is going to Arkansas, not a lot of good potential there. If it's going to Chicago, a lot of good potential. So it's understanding where these things are running. And that's why you understand routes and everything else come into play. And that's why I said that you also look at that to say, example, we will ship within the 500-mile radius. And that's a stipulation. Okay, we can figure that cost and everything else, and we know that. Okay, if somebody wants to go outside that, say, we're happy to do that estimate for you, but you know, that's on you to pick the tab.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not going to help in any way with that since it's outside our footprint. If somebody wants your price bad enough, they will pay it, that's just reality.
Yeah.
So, that's okay, but you have to identify your footprint, and then know that number.
Sure. So we've always always done a delivery. There's always been a set area that we're willing to deliver. And then beyond that becomes, delivery is within X amount of miles at a certain charge. Anything after that, and then you start working up into, you know, of course, like you said, that's on them, but we've never actually shipped anything. And I think the availability of having this online storefront and making some.
Oh, no, you'll get asked that, and they're gonna wanna know what the cost is.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you can't give them solid numbers, that's the thing, that's why you have to partner with 2 or 3 carriers, so then that way you play off of each other. Okay, because some run the north route, and you get very good rates. Some run the south route, and you get very good rates. And if you understand their routes, you can get really good deals. But if you're just going in there blue and don't know anything, you will pay premium dollar for each one. If you understand where they run and where their concentration is, it's very easy to get really good deals.
And around here too, in this area, I particularly come across a few people that, because of the coal mines going out and so forth, have gotten into the trucking industry themselves on not necessarily a smaller scale, but they bought trucks and they want to do things like that. They want to find companies that they can work up relationships with. So it might be beneficial, like Carl's saying, to find your happy medium there to where you can kind of give estimates on, but maybe reach out to your local SBDCs and see the businesses that they've helped for trucking and try to, you know, give them your contact information, because there's a confidentiality thing. But give them your contact information and say, hey, you know, contact us, because if you've got a shipment going out, or what would your cost be to take, you know, something from point A to point B. I know just here recently, I've dealt with about 3 individuals that are getting into short haul business themselves, and they've come to me and talked to me about buying their trucks and trailers, flatbed trailers. Maybe something, it's gonna be hard to compete with the FedEx and, you know, those bigger companies like that, but
Now, LTL is a cutthroat business.
yeah.
What is LTL? I don't know.
Less than a truckload. So you're only filling up part of the truck. And because of that, that means they have to find other things to fill the truck.
Sure.
That's the only way they make revenue. That's how they keep their money.
Cattle's a big prime example of that. If they know they can go to a market and pick up a full truckload of cattle and bring them back, their overhead just, I mean, gets absorbed by so much money. But if they go and say they only pick up, and I don't cattle farm, but I was at a Smith County Chamber event and they were speaking about this, and they were talking about if they go and pick up a half a load, whatever they call that, for them, the cattle world, they pick up that half a load, they're driving back home with their head down, because they know the cost of going up there. It took half a load to cover their overhead, so they're not making anything. So,
And that becomes also,
yeah, and they're jacking it up.
and that becomes very challenging, like for them, because depending on cattle prices, it ripples. Like if like when drought hit really bad, last year, a lot of cattle farmers ran to offload because they just couldn't take care of them. They were getting pennies on the dollar, literally, and then you also had to pay for shipping. Man, that just eats you alive.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why this becomes very critical. A lot of people don't understand logistics, and this is where they make big mistakes. And that's why it's a thing, and that's why I said, talking to FedEx, UPS gives you a good foundation, because that's kind of what they try to do. And that kind of educates you, and then you're able to use it with the other trucking companies. And if you learn their routes, where they concentrate at, then it's easy for you to find those LTOs that actually work in your favor.
Definitely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I feel like I've learned so much just these last 5 weeks. I know I'm not part of this business challenge, but I am sort of in your same boat. You know, most of you know my story, that I started teaching 18 years ago. Taught high school, never thought I'd do anything else. And then about a year ago, or a year and a half ago, I decided, hey, I might try this real estate And here I am, in the middle of my second full year doing the real estate, quitting my job. You know, so it's terrifying. And those of you who are like going out on a limb, I understand, you know, I'm with you. I'm your soul sister. I know what it feels like. There's this ultimate terror in your heart that you think, oh no, what's gonna happen? But the first day of class, we talked about some things that are important. Number one is knowing yourself. You know, we did a little quiz about what was our learning style or our working style. And I'll be 100% honest with you, I know my strengths. I also know my weaknesses. And I'm so fortunate in that my partner in life and my business is also my opposite in terms of those strengths. So everything I'm bad at, he's really good at. And so that's really important that you find that. You know, when you are sitting down, you're trying to figure stuff out, you've got to find it. It's also important that you're patient. You know, we've talked about this. And it's also important that you know your market. You know, I know the last 18 months of my life, I have worked probably 75 hours every week. I mean, and that is no exaggeration. You just gotta work. You gotta want it, you gotta work hard, and you gotta get lucky sometimes. I mean, there's sometimes that, you know, some people, you get cut a break that you weren't expecting, and it changes some things for you. Knowing your market is an important thing. Knowing your customer, you all are from this area, except for Mr. Barker right there. We all know the kids and misses. You know, you all, I think, have great ideas of things that are missing in our area. And I love that. And I think all of you are going to ultimately find your success. It's whether you were successful at this particular one, it doesn't mean anything. You're going to be great, you just have to keep going. One thing I want to mention that really helped me in looking at Josh and Luke last week is knowing how to market things. You are a brand. You know, you're becoming a brand. Everything's about that brand in your business world. Analytics are important. I know that's a really scary word, but you can take it from very simple to very complicated. You have to know when you're putting money into something, if you're putting the money in the right place. You know, when I put a Facebook post up about a house I'm trying to sell, I know based on the price of that home, the location of that home, the demographics of the people that I need to target. You would do the same thing. If you're trying to sell a cutting board, it's a totally different group of people than if you're selling a very expensive dining room table.
Right, true.
And so you don't want to spend the same amount of money on the same groups in advertising for those two things.
Right.
So you really have to study. One thing that I thought of with you guys last week, I had these crazy thoughts that came in the middle of the night. Facebook Live's huge. Imagine an experience on Facebook Live with your adventures that you're doing. Free.
Yeah, you gotta have a GoPro in your budget. I mean, it's a given. Strap it to your head and take
I mean, you would have, you know, just that experience, you know, the whole goal, you know, Carl was talking about getting people to St. Paul. People outside of St. Paul don't know how great it is. They really don't. And we are incredibly blessed here to have the mountains, the river, just the people. So much rich history here. And so you need to show it. You know, you guys can do a lot of things. I'm excited to see it. Do y'all have any questions about pitch night? Are we scared? Are we excited?
I think more excited than scared.
I think it goes back and forth for most people. It's like, you have that moment when you're not sure if you're gonna like throw up or do a really great job, or both. Maybe both. Do you? Pitch night's a big deal. Make sure you follow the rules. Kathy told me to reiterate that. If you have any questions at all, you can email her, or Sandy has done many pitch nights. She can help you with any of those. Carl also has all the business plan experience there. I'm just filling in. I'm your substitute teacher for the day.
She's here for all your real estate needs.
I'm here for all your real estate needs. Social media marketing, those are my strengths. Got any questions? If not, we're a little early, but I think we're good to go.